I do want to introduce Ed Kenny. I've known Ed now for well over 3 years, 3.5 years. He's been somewhat of a mentor to me. I've learned a tremendous amount from Ed. He's had a very interesting entrepreneurial and he's a networker, but he's got a fascinating career. He introduced me to something a few years back, and we've become friends. And then he introduced me to the Internet of Things not long ago, about a month ago. I've been sort of into this, learning about this thing, and trying to take advantage of what's coming. If we all had a crystal ball, right, and we saw in 1995 that cell phones would rule our lives, what could we have done to take advantage of that knowledge? Well, probably a lot. So that's kind of, in my mind, where things are with the Internet of Things. So I'm going to hand the ball over to Ed Kenny. Ed, you are welcome to do your thing for 35 minutes. And then if anybody would like to stay on afterwards, if you find that this is so interesting that you can't leave and you got lots of questions that are going on and on, which will probably happen, I'll stay on as long as the last person stays on. All right, Ed, are you confined to any schedule today, this afternoon?
No, nope, I'm good. I should be good. Can everyone see me and see my screen and hear my voice and all?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kurt, for that great introduction. It's nice to meet every one of you. You all have great ways to kind of give yourself an elevator pitch. And I've worked on mine for my whole career, and still haven't gotten it down, but working on it still nonetheless. But I'm excited today because, I was introduced to something about a month and a half ago that when the person that introduced me to is someone I really respect, they said something to me that was a little different than normally, because we all probably get pitched stuff all the time. And he said, Ed, the reason why I'm calling you is because this falls into your wheelhouse from your original career, which was in the cellular business. And that kind of made me, because I always loved that part of my life, that 10-year block, building out a network for a company called Nextel, which most people, a lot of people who are my age or more, 52, they know what Nextel is. They probably heard of it. Maybe they even had one of the phones. But if you were younger, you never even knew Nextel existed, because it was about a 15-year company, and they had something very unique, and it was this walkie-talkie feature where you could have a cell phone and you could push a button and you could have a two-way conversation with people across the country. It started off, very regionally, and then it grew to nationwide and eventually got to global. But so you could make a cell phone call and you could do a walkie-talkie. Well, I had an opportunity to buy a company in 1998, and this company was a Motorola two-way radio dealership. They basically did all the ambulances, fire engines, a lot of the EMS stuff for 3 counties in Maryland, Queen Anne's, Anne Arundel, and St. Mary's. So the company owned 3 cell phone towers, and they weren't even really called cell phone towers at the time. They were just called towers. And the counties would lease our spectrum, and they would lease our towers. So we had the fire engines going back and forth with their private networks with walkie-talkie radios. And that's the company I bought. I didn't know anything about it, but I was asked to sell the company from one of my clients who was getting older. And so I agreed to see if I could sell it for him. And I ended up being the buyer because it was a really good company. And I figured I'll just learn how to run it. And so it was a fair price. There's no haggling. They got exactly what they wanted. I got exactly, what they wanted. I gave them, it was fair. So anyway, fast forward 2 years from there, this company, Nextel, who's been working closely with Motorola, is launching kind of in Maryland this walkie-talkie service, and they came to me as a natural fit for someone that would help build that network out for them. And so I got my towers involved. I expanded the network. So, when you have that cell phone or that two-way radio, it needs to be able to connect from one unit to the next. And the only way to do that is to have the spectrum to be able to make that connection. Well, they needed help building the canopy of coverage. So I started getting into going into rural areas like farming areas and stuff. And I'd go to topography and look at high points and go to the farmers that live there, knock on the door and say, hey, if you allow us, we can put this tower on your property and we could lease the land from you. It'd be $20,000 a month for 5 years and then $5,000 in perpetuity. And you'd be amazed back in those days how many people would actually run me off their property and say, get out of here with that crap, But there was one that said, okay. And then another 100 we talked to, another one would say, okay. So we got the right people to build the coverage out. Now, fast forward to 2007, Sprint comes along and they want to own that market. They bought Nextel, they bought the network, they bought the whole kit and caboodle. We had about 150,000 customers that we loaded onto the network that we actually built. So we got paid fairly from Sprint. We knew what the rules of engagement were, that we didn't own anything. We were just getting paid a lot of money to help build and to fill the network with customers. And I ended up with, 55 employees with 12 different locations around Maryland, the largest Nextel dealership. But then Sprint took it and said, thank you very much for all that you've done. We'll take it from here. And that was it. That was kind of like, I got paid out over 36 months. But then I was kind of off looking for my next thing. And, over the next 10 years, I found energy, the space of energy, and I really fell into that in a big way. Had a lot of success with deregulated energy markets. But I tell you all this just as a prelude to what it is that's happening today. Going back to my roots of building the network, not a network like we all, on today's call, like Team Network, but an actual physical network that you can build out that's called the People's Network. And there's a lot of things about that make me excited just in and of itself. But let me give you the concept here. So there's a guy, one of the founders of Helium. His name is Sean Fanning. Sean Fanning was the founder of a company called Napster. Now, Napster launched, late 90s, early 2000s, and it was a peer-to-peer music sharing program where they could take music files, put them into MP3 or MP4, and you could actually trade them with your friends and say, I bought this music from Tower Records, if anybody remembers that name, and I own it, right? So I paid $20 for it, I own it, and I figured out a way to copy it into a digital format. And another buddy of mine has Def Leppard pour some sugar on me, and he's got that record, he owns it, right? So I want to trade music with him. I send my file, he sends his file. We did that all day, and Sean Fanning set up the network in which to do that. So lo and behold, lawyers get involved, the legalities, the whole 9 yards. You might own it, but you can't sell it. We're not selling it. We're sharing it for free. You can't do that either. It's just, you can't make copies of it. So the legal, attributes of that whole business was what really was the demise of it. But it changed the entire music industry completely. Apple came in with billions of dollars, big deep pockets with the iPhone. They created the, iTunes, and that was it. Off to the races. Poor Sean Fanning, right? Well, Sean Fanning did all right. He did okay. He got bought out and whatnot. But in 2013, he started this company, and he saw that there was going to be a real problem in the future because all these big cell phone networks that have been built out, they cost a lot of money. If you have a designated hotspot from Verizon or AT&T or Sprint or whoever, you get this thing that can light up and you can get Wi-Fi from it. It expands the network essentially, but it's a designated spot. It's about $40 a month, give or take, for unlimited access, right? So that's expensive. And you've got millions of companies out there that want to track their assets. It was back in the day where I was in Nextel, I had two companies, Patuxent and The other one was, I think it was Patuxent and Gardner. I think it was Gardner, but they were big into contracting, and they had these roll-offs, these things that would sit on a job site, right? And one of the companies, Cheney Enterprises, actually had 2,500 of these roll-offs, and they would come to us and say, "How can we track these roll-offs? We need to know where they are at all times because, you know, we could be much more efficient logistically when we rent these things out." And we would go back to them and say, "Okay, we found a solution, but it's a designated hotspot from, you know, Nextel, and we put it in a weatherproof box. We'd affix it to the side of the roll-off, and we'd have a battery there that could power it, but the batteries have to be changed out every couple of days. So, you know, your technicians are going to have to deal with that." So they're like, "We have 2,500 of these things, and you're telling me it's going to be $50 a month, and I got to have a technician switch batteries out?" That it was just, there was no viable solution, right? So Sean Fanning knows that. He knows that the dilemma that a lot of big companies are in, to track assets and things like that. So he says, if there was a network that we could create, that would be the Internet of Things. Basically, all sorts of different things could be on this network, like the roll-offs, where instead of having a designated hotspot for $40 a month, you get a little chip set, little plastic thing. You could, it's got like a Timex battery. Remember those old Timex batteries that would last for 3 or 4 years? Low energy. You pop it on the side of the roll-off, and you can track that roll-off wherever it goes, 24/7, 365 real time. And maybe it's $1 a month. And there's no technicians that have to change out batteries, none of that crap. So that's a viable solution to a problem that a lot of companies have. So the Internet of Things, to answer Kurt's question, is basically creating a very low cost network that is using people and their homes and their internet connection as a like cell phone tower, if you will, or as a relay. So this company, Helium, has these hotspots using low band technology, which means that you install one of these hotspots in your house, and the Wi-Fi as we know it today, which goes basically within the walls of our house, maybe a little bit around the periphery, doesn't go far, right? You might get an extender, Sam's Club, and put it in your basement or upstairs to extend the Wi-Fi. But these boxes have a special technology in it and a frequency that lets it go out about 2 to 5 miles in range. So from your house out 2 to 5 miles. Now, that's pretty good distance for low energy Wi-Fi. Now, you take a neighbor that lives 5 miles away from you, and that neighbor hosts one of these hotspots. It's a little box about the size of a brick. They host one at their house, and their Wi-Fi permeates about 2 to 5 miles, and we connect. And what happens is when the two connections happen, it meshes that Wi-Fi and it creates a coverage zone. Okay. So anywhere between me and my neighbor's house is covered completely 100% with Helium network. Okay. Then I get another neighbor over to the east that gets one 5 miles away. They get it. Now we connect and we create a bigger area. Another neighbor to my south gets one, connect. All of a sudden, you know, neighbors 5 miles northeast, west, south, they all get hotspots, and we create a 15-mile perfect radius of coverage. Okay, so you say, great, that's great, Ed, but you know, America's pretty big and the world is even bigger. So this company is designed from inception in this country alone to have about 30 million of these hotspots, and they're all being hosted by everyday people like us, businesses. Anybody can host a hotspot, and you're basically go out there, put in your hotspot. Now, why would you do this, right? What benefit would be in it for you? Well, there's a lot of local benefits that you're going to get from the IoT, you know, dog collars that have the little chip in it. Lots of different, you know, you can put a camera in a tree with a little battery, Timex battery, lasts for years and monitor things that you normally wouldn't be able to monitor. There's things that you can't even imagine that are going to be born to be hosted on the Internet of Things, inventions that are occurring now that we can't even comprehend. But there's going to be billions of things on this network, okay? All of them paying money into the network for the data that the network provides, right? So when you think about it, you're like, why would I get one of these boxes? Well, if the part of the business plan of Helium is to incentivize people for hosting these hotspots, then you've got something to talk about. You know, you think about it today, Amazon, Google, they've all tried to crack the code on the Internet of Things, and no one's been able to do it. Amazon's been trying with giving you Alexas and Dots. They basically give them away for free, or they subsidize them because that's creating something for them. There's an underlying purpose for why they're willing to give those things away so cheap. Google actually had plans to build out their own Internet of Things, but they were going to do it on their own. They were going to labor the whole actual cost of it and not incentivize anybody and own it because they want to own it all. Well, they scrapped their plans about 3 years ago to do that because they realized that they would have to get individual households internet to help with that, and they didn't know how to do that. They don't know how to give away anything. They want to own everything. So Helium is the one that says, let the people build the network and it will be called the People's Network. And we, the people, are creating it. There's no one company that can say what's going to happen and what can happen on this network. It's actually the People's Network. It's a fascinating concept, and it's actually becoming a reality today. So what I like about it is the incentives are juicy to host these boxes, right? And for the next 3 to 5 years, as we build out this network, there's going to be boxes going in all over the place. You're going to be able to see and monitor every single box that's happening. You're going to be able to click on it and see how much it's earning. It's fully transparent network. And after it's built, they're going to say, thanks, we don't need any more boxes. So no more boxes on the network. Everyone who's on it, locked and loaded, you own a piece of the network, depending upon how much you contributed to it, how many hotspots are tagged back to you. That's how much of the network you're going to be owning a piece of in perpetuity. So all the data revenue that comes on the network is going to be rewarded to the people that have the boxes and created the network itself. So that's the concept of what's happening. And I'll dive into now, first of all, giving you some resources that are going to be critical for you to understand, because if you take the time and you learn what this is and you really understand it, there's a tremendous amount of money that can be made. I don't care if you do this for a minute a day and talk to people and you go about your day. You don't have to stop doing anything you're doing. This is just an easy thing to talk about, that if the more you talk about it with more people, the more you could end up owning a piece of this network. So Helium is the name of the company. You can go to helium.com. Once you're on here, you can learn what mining is, because when you get these hotspots, what you're doing is you're mining, you're hitting other boxes and you're connecting, showing the proof of coverage. Every day, the boxes are interconnecting with each other. One box connects to another box, a third box witnesses that connection, and they know that there's connection, that proof of coverage is there. Right now, it's already starting to mine data too. In Baltimore, Maryland, the city, there's these scooters that are cruising around all over the place. There's tons of IoT devices already being in use down in Baltimore City and many other cities, that there's data revenue coming in, and those boxes that are in the cities are actually starting to mine the data revenue as well. The folks like me who are out in the country, there's no other boxes around me right now, but there will be. I'll be getting rewarded for proving the coverage in the beginning, but then the data services will move their way out here and I'll start to mine for data as well. So these boxes are mining. Then you have the use case. You can click on here when Kurt says, what's the Internet of Things? Explain that. You can click on here and see tons of use cases. San Francisco right now is basically the hub, the starting point of Helium. The first thing they did was created the entire network there to be covered. So all of the Bay Area is covered completely. All the big companies are doing all their pilot tests of all their different devices and new inventions in San Francisco because it's got the full coverage there. So you can kind of see some of the companies that are already starting to use the network right now. And then HNT, which is the currency in which we are rewarded for building this network out. The company gives out 5 million HNT every single month, okay? 1.5 million of those 5 million go to the venture capitalist company that put all the money into this. 3.5 goes to the actual people, the boxes, the hotspots, right? Now, HNT is a cryptocurrency. It has a value. Right now, call it $10. It started out at whatever, less than a penny. It's gotten up to $10. It's been as high as $24, but right now at the current time, it's 10. So that 3.5 million helium tokens are going out there, getting distributed to those boxes. And that's what it is every month. Now, if helium goes up, which if you read the white papers, it's designed to go up and become an even payment platform for the people that are building the network. So right now, if there's 3.5, it goes up to 20, still 3.5 going out there, but now it's twice the amount of money being rewarded. You get compensated in this currency every month, or with the company that we're dealing with, it's every 2 weeks. And you can convert that to cash right as soon as you get it. As soon as you receive it, you can say cash it in and make it cash. By doing that, you're going to create a taxable event as counted in as income. If you defer it, you can hold on to the HNT and go up in value. Then you could defer that tax to in the future when you sell it. So that is what Helium is. Now, I'm going to recommend a tool to everybody who is understanding what it is that I'm saying and understanding that, this is a 3 to 5 year window to kind of imagine you're just landed here and you're kind of going out west and you're staking land. You go out there and you put a flag in a beautiful piece of property, and that's yours. And in the future, there's laws that come and you could sell that land, you could divide it up, whatever. But you're staking land right now for the next 3 to 5 years, just here in the States. And that's a powerful, time-sensitive situation for all of us. But there's down at the bottom of helium.com, it's called white paper. Click on that, print it out, have it in your hands. I don't recommend printing a lot of things, but this is one of those things where print it out and read it cover to cover. It's only 25 or 26 pages or something. But this really tells the story of the origin of helium, where it came from, what it's designed to do, how it's designed to function in the future. It's a brilliant, brilliant company. The more you learn about it, the more excited you get. But here's one of the things that really gets me excited about it, right? The transparency of everything. I love when things are fully transparent because that's the way that they should be. There should be no levers that can be pulled that people aren't aware of in anything that they're committing their time and energy to. So in Helium, if you go to explorer.helium.com, it's a website that you can go in here and you can actually look at there's a map. So I can go into the worldwide map right now of where these hotspots currently are. If you look to the top left, you're going to see that there's 91,127 hotspots on the Helium network right now. Go back a month ago, there were 55,000 of these. So it's really started to just pick up in a big way this summer. Okay, so now I can go into any one of these hotspots. I can kind of go in and zero in on any of these things. Now, one of my friends who I called, he knows a lot about crypto. He was the first person I called when I got involved in this and said, Doug, what do you know about helium? He says, why do you mention helium? He's like, well, I just got turned on to something that I'm very excited about, but I just doing my due diligence. And I'm going to bring you to an area that Doug, my friend, who I called, who is really knowledgeable about this stuff and has been a student of crypto and now is an authority in the crypto space. He's actually, over the last 2 years, acquired about 140 of these hotspots. And he's done it all by himself, just with one other partner. And they've purchased the boxes, which they paid about $500-600 for each hotspot. And they've deployed them out there into their networks. So they're actually asking people to host these hotspots for them. And the people are saying, why would I host one for you? And he says, I'll give you a nice, really nice bottle of wine every month if you do it. So he's got about 120 of those 140 people that are in a wine club that he sends a $100 bottle of wine to every single month because they're nice enough to host one of his hotspots for him, because it doesn't make sense to have 140 of them at one location. They need to be apart from each other. Okay. So this is kind of his area that he started to build. This is one of his little portfolios. So he owns most of the boxes in this area. So I can go in any one of these little hexagons here, and I can click on it, right? I'll click on this one right here. And they all come pre-programmed with a name for the network, the blockchain, right? This one's called Chili Caramel Tadpole. So I click on it, okay? And I can see, okay, it's right there. It's got activity that's going on in it. It's in a great zone. It's in a 1% zone. That's the best scale zone that you can get. So I can go into activity and see what it's been doing. It's been witnessing. So what happens is these boxes, when they go out and the signal touches other boxes, the more other boxes that they touch, the more you earn, and the more witnesses there are, you earn. So this box is sending beacons out, sending challenges out, and another box gets and accepts the challenges, sends it back. There's another box that witnessed it. So it's proving that this whole area that's in green right here is fully covered in the Helium. So if I think about Wi-Fi today, like you go to Starbucks and you get on their Wi-Fi, all I need to do is log into my Helium Wi-Fi, and now I've got Wi-Fi continuously at a very low price tag. So if I own a bunch of trucks, if I own artwork, if I own all sorts of different things, I can have a little tag on it and I'll know where things are. My keys, my wallet, all these things, a little chip in there, you'll know where it is at all time. That's just to give you some ideas of what's going to be the IoT. It's a lot different spending $1 a month for something than it is a designated hotspot that costs $40 from Verizon to try to track something. You need your battery, you need, all that kind of stuff. So this is where you can see the mining rewards of this particular box. And then you can go in and see what the rewards have been, every day this box gets rewarded HNT. So received 0.095 HNT, received 11 hours ago, 0.078, 0.30. Some days it gets a whole HNT, but well, actually most days this box right here, I don't know exactly how much it's getting. There's a way to check. Let me see here. Earnings. So in the last 24 hours, it's earned 1.423 HNT. All right, HNT right now, it's $10. So in the last 24 years, just by this box being at that house, he's earned about $14.23, right? In the last 7 days, he's earned 15 HNT. So that's $150. So then in the last 30 days, 56 HNT. So that's $560, right? So, that's what this box is doing. He's not doing anything. He just plugged it in and it's illuminating the Wi-Fi out there, connecting with other boxes and doing what it's supposed to do. I can go over here. There's 3 boxes in this area. There's 3 different boxes right here. Okay. You can see, this one up here is up 106%. This one's up 51%, up 45%. It's all fully transparent. That's the beauty of this network, right? So now I can see the activity that this box has been doing, right? So I can see that this box here is earned in the last 24 hours, almost 7 HNT. In the last 7 days, 48 HNT, 106 HNT. So, you can see this box right here made whoever is hosting it, $1,060 last month. That's, part of a mortgage payment or, car payment or whatever. So, you look at the map, right? And you look at how much is covered versus how much is not covered. Okay. Right now, we agree that we see 91,000 boxes worldwide that are connected. Well, in America, there's about 30 million that are needed. So you can kind of look at where we are in the cycle of this. If you expand the map out, you can see how much coverage is needed. Obviously, everything happens where the volumes of people go first. It's common sense, to build where the volume of people are first, and then where it gets more sparse, that's usually the last to get built out. But we have a great network that's growing right now. And this company, iHub Global, has put in what's called an affiliate program for people that understand what this is all about and want to participate, want to contribute. So they have a deal where they are willing to give us all free boxes, free hotspots. We don't have to pay for them, right? So they're going to give them to us, but we're not going to get 100% of what the hotspot does. We're going to get a percentage of what it does. And then if we bring on other people and we introduce them and say, hey, you should host one of these boxes. You could make a couple $100 a month if you host one. They say, sure, what is it all about? Say, it doesn't cost anything. You plug it in, boom. You get someone there, they host it. Now you get a little override. Essentially, the company is giving the boxes away for free because they understand that it's a worthwhile investment. They're ponying up the millions of dollars to give to the houses so that the houses are incentivized to put them in and earn from them. Okay. The company's going to pay out 80% of every box and what they earned to the people like us who build out the network. The host is going to get some, the person who referred the host is going to get some, and then there's team builders that are going to build teams and get an override. So it can be as big or as little as anybody wants it. They could have one box at their house, fine, whatever, that's great. If they have a big family, I've one lady who has she's the youngest of 7 kids. She's already got every one of her siblings doing it, and some of them have already started to get their friends in. She's got a team now of about 87 of these hotspots that are going to be deployed. Now, everything checks out, sounds great until what I'm about to tell you. This is the catch. There's always a catch. The catch is these boxes are hard as hell to get their hands on, and between the chip shortage that's happening on a global basis and the actual manufacturing, the demand for these boxes right now, it's the shipping is about 3 months out. So there's people that joined this 3 months ago that are getting their boxes right now. We've been deploying on average about 1,000 boxes a day for the last 3 weeks. The company has 180,000 boxes that are going to be delivered before the end of the year. And we're sitting in prime territory to receive these boxes. So what I tell people is, if they're the least bit interested in this, you can do all the investigation and research and due diligence. I recommend that for everybody. But if you're the least bit interested, the first thing you should do is get in, sign up, and reserve a hotspot so that you're in the queue at least. You don't need any credit cards. You don't need any of that. You just get in the queue. So if it takes you 2 weeks to research it, and then you say to yourself, 2 weeks from now, damn it, I wish I'd done it 2 weeks ago, because then I'd be in the shipping queue, and 2 weeks sooner than I would be getting the box. So that's a big deal right there. But then this company has software that is allowing you to now plug in addresses. You can actually go in, plug in an address, and the system will tell you how much you can expect to earn by having a hotspot. It's using the intelligence of the network to tell you how much that spot would be worth every month if you just simply plugged it in and got it. So you can actually get onto that. You can plug in addresses if you have them, so you can generate a report to give to people. Then that's a conversation starter saying, hey, if you had a hotspot at your house, you could earn, $150 a month or $200 a month just by hosting it. If that person gets on and signs up to reserve that hotspot, then they lock down that real estate for forever. If they don't, in 24 hours, that space is freed up again. So
Ed, we have 2 minutes. I want to respect everybody's time. I said that we would go over if need be, and people can hang in here if you want. But I've been seeing a lot of people typing in questions into the chat box. And if you don't mind, Ed, I'd like to open up the floor for a few questions. Yep. Most of the questions that I'm seeing coming in are about security and privacy. Can you cover that topic a little bit?
Yes, I can. So back to the Helium state here. There's the frequently asked questions of security, right? The biggest things are, how much energy is this thing going to consume every month? 5 watts, a 5-watt light bulb per year. So call it $4 or $5, right, per year. The security. Okay, so one of the benefits of the Helium network is that it's on the blockchain. it's a fully encrypted network. It's probably going to be the safest unhackable network. Nothing's unhackable. Nothing ever will be unhackable, but it's as unhackable as you can get because it's safeguarded by 27-digit numeric and alpha keywords that are on the network. So if you think about how secure you are today at your own router, for example, you might have the software that gave you the actual password, or you may have logged in and created your own. And maybe it's your dog's birthday. All right. Hackers can find that stuff out a lot easier than they can decrypt a 27 randomized number and alpha password, right? So when someone puts this as Wi-Fi in their house or connects it to the router or just illuminates the signal with Wi-Fi, it's a one-way transport. It's coming from your router using your internet, because to host one, you have to have internet. It's using your internet to expand the network 2 to 5 miles on a one-way communication. So there's nothing coming back into your router box. It's not coming into your router box at all. But don't take my word for it. If you go to helium.com and you go into the white papers and you go into security, you can see all the security. There's nothing more secure that could be than the Helium network and these hotspots at your house. It has nothing to do with getting into your router, getting information. The third big question, I think, is do I sacrifice my personal broadband to get the network out there? No. It's the equivalent of having another phone plugged in to your broadband at your house. If, let's say, your husband and wife and you got a kid, it would be like having another kid and the usage that they have. No significant broadband deficiency that it's going to take from you.
Okay. Is this an MLM?
It's not. It's an affiliate program. So there's no money. You don't have to pay anything. There's no ranks that you have to rank requirements to get paid. None of that stuff. It's an affiliate plan.
Okay, so if I get a box and I tell 2 friends and they tell 2 friends, somehow they're connected to me through a code or something like that.
It's exactly like Zoom. Like, Zoom is an affiliate plan. It's the exact same thing as a Zoom.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Ed? I'm going to stop the share if you don't mind.
One thing real quick, if I could.
Okay.
Do I have time?
Yes, go ahead. Like I said, you can stay on as long as you want. People need to drop off. Please make sure that you are in the chat box, because we will follow up with you to give you an opportunity to learn more if you're interested. But hang in there as long as you can, because every time I'm on with Ed, I learn.
So there's anybody want to volunteer an address? Because this is another site you can go to, helium.place. If I get an address, I'll just use mine just because.
5236 Winterview Drive, Alexandria, Virginia, 22312.
Oops. Oh gosh, what happened there? Hold on. 52. I'm sorry about that.
5236 Winterview, 2 words, Winterview Drive.
There it is.
All right.
So this is your house right here. Okay. When you pull up your address, it puts your hotspot, like a simulation of your hotspot, right at your address. Okay. Now this is a hexagon and it's a red hexagon. The goal would be to not have any other boxes or hotspots. I call them boxes, but they're hotspots. Don't have any other hotspots in your area, in your red hexagon area, because that's duplicating coverage. There's more coverage than needed at that point, right? So it's just going to dilute the rewards. You're going to share the rewards. Okay. So what your goal is to be able to connect with other boxes. What I love about this location that you just put down here is that there's a box up here. There's a box down. So to your north, to your, say, southeast, and to your southwest, there's boxes. So you've got 3 boxes out of 6 that would make the perfect outer hexagon for where you'd want other boxes to be. So if you found another person around here, another person in this area, and another person down in this area, you would have like the perfect hexagon. And that would generate the maximum amount of rewards because you're going to be covering a 15 to 20 mile as a crow flies area perfectly. That's a big reward for Helium because you're covering the most amount of land with the least amount of boxes. Okay. So this is a great spot. If like literally ordering one here, just one, you're going to ding off of these boxes. There's a potential that you even ding off of these boxes. And that is a big money maker right there. Put another box over here, another one up here, another one right down in the Bryn Mawr area. And you got yourself a kingpin location. Then talk to these people that you get the boxes for, and they can build their own little hexagon. So there's some strategy involved in this, but there's also like, introduce it to as many people as you can, and they'll figure it out. They'll figure out where the right places for the boxes are. We have software that really lets you play around with where you want boxes to be and how much you're going to get paid if they get put there. And for Dorina, this is in the Bar region. It's in the Rosetta Stone of Italy. It's global, so it's pretty exciting.
Ed, I'm often asked, where does the money come from? Why am I being paid? Who's paying who, and how do I benefit? How do I get this money that just comes out of nowhere?
So it doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes out of the venture capital companies that are funding this. So you think about, when Verizon, Sprint, AT&T, Nextel, when those companies were put their business models on the table, they had to raise billions of dollars to start to build the networks. They had to start to rent the towers. They had to get the bucket trucks. They had to get the union employees. They had to spend $20 billion before they made their first penny, right? Because you can't have phones communicating without a network. So this is the same concept as that. The venture capital companies have invested. They're the same venture capital companies that invested in Uber, Facebook, Twitter, Airbnb, and they know that they have to spend billions of dollars in order to build the network out. But they know that there's demand for the IoT. There's more demand than anybody could handle. So they know that once they spend the money and build something, the demand on the other side is definitely worth the build. So it's no different. It's a parallel universe than what it was back when cell phones and those towers were being erected.
So they're paying us to put it in our house. I mean, that's bottom line is you put it in your house and we'll pay you to do that. So you're helping build the network. And if you tell others, you're helping us build it. So we'll pay you a little bit more. And then the other part is once it's built, when these Internet of Things start throwing data all over the place and part of that data is going through my house, am I paid again?
Yeah, that's how so the more track you lay down on the ground, the more data is going to flow through your boxes, however they're connected to you, and the more revenue you're going to earn from the boxes. Think about it. Like right now, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, all those guys, they have to maintain their networks. They have to spend billions to maintain. They got all those employees, all those trucks out there, all that healthcare, all that stuff, tower rentals, upgrading equipment, all that crap. When this network's been built, all we do is share in the spoils of all the people that are using the network. There's no real maintenance costs. It's actually brilliant. It's business 2.0. Like for the last 100 years, we've all known about business. This company now is business 2.0. And I'll tell you right now, every business is moving in this direction. I just got introduced to this company that Helium's talking to. It's called like Filecoin, and it's an encrypted cloud-based storage for all your files. So businesses right now that are going to Amazon Web Services or Google to store their stuff, they don't want to be there. They don't want their data stored on Amazon servers. So a Filecoin could very well disrupt that market where you're in an encrypted network, you're paying as you go. using their cloud instead of Amazon. So, business 2.0, it's happening.
This network will only talk to devices that are tweaked to listen to signals for the Internet of Things, or can you also run your telephone on it or whatever?
So they're introducing 5G to the network, and as that gets integrated in, we will be able to use it as a cell phone. Right now, you'll be able to do like data services. Think about like if you have WhatsApp or you have FaceTime or Facebook and you do like video calls, you'll be able to do that on this network. But 5G, the boxes that are going to be coming are going to have 5G in them, and that's going to build out the ability to do cell too. It won't be like a cell phone call that you think of today. It'll be like more of a internet call, like if that makes sense. Like you're not going from one tower to the phone. You're going to be going through a Wi-Fi network to make the call.
All right, that brings up another point then. What about health? Is there any health concerns about the signal? Because I hear a lot about 5G and microwaves and of course people put cell phones right up to their head, but what do you know about that?
So the frequency that this company has is public frequency. All right. So there's a beautiful thing about that. And if people are old enough to remember, there used to be these wireless phones, headsets at your house. You remember you had the big cord that would always get slinked up when you're with your landline phone. And then you go to a Radio Shack and you got a cordless phone. Okay. It ran on the 915 frequency. It's the same as that. It's the same exact frequency. So if we made it through that, we're going to make it through this because there's no difference in the frequency.
Okay. Do we still need to screen share? Because people might want to raise their hand and ask a question.
Nope, I'm good unless anybody wants anything else to be shown.
All right. Who wants to ask a question? Anybody? Go ahead, Ada.
Okay, so I have a question because I've heard everything you said, and it just still sounds pretty much intense tech, which isn't my fourth, So I just want to understand, like, are you saying this device is like just the thing you plug in your wall? And then if that's the case, how does it pick up all the things you're saying is data that is being driven? Is it like Alexa, like how you have Alexa in your home and you can say, Alexa, what's the weather or what's this? So it's recording the things you're asking it, and that way it's kind of storing. So how does this device work, and how really is it going to create this thing you're saying that is the future of how we're going to do business and live? Like, how does it work if it's not interactive, if it's not a video? Like, I can't see it. I can't see
Okay.
what you're saying. It just sounds really vague.
Yeah, so it doesn't have any microphones in it or cameras, so it's not designed to be interactive or smart for your house. What it's doing is it's basically saying, "Hey, Ada, you have an internet connection at your house from Verizon or Cablevision or whoever, right? Thank you for that. First of all, we really appreciate it. We want to use some of that. We're going to give you a box that you plug into your router. And what's going to happen is because you get internet to your house, you're going to take that Wi-Fi signal and you're going to put this box in it. And that box is going to send that signal out 2 to 5 miles, depending upon your topography, right? So all you're doing is letting the box use your internet connection to expand the Wi-Fi. It's the same thing as if you go to a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts or some restaurant and you go in there and you don't have cell phone service and you call them over and say, "Do you guys have a Wi-Fi password?" And they say, "Yes, we do have a Wi-Fi password. Type in this." You type it in and then you're able to go on their Wi-Fi, right? They were nice enough to let you in. Now imagine if you could just have that Wi-Fi with Helium and everywhere you went across the globe, you would never have to worry about an outage again. You'd always be connected to the internet. Does that make sense?
So we're paying for internet and then we're sharing it with everybody else.
You're not paying for anything you don't already have. But if you don't have
Right.
internet, then you're not a good host. You know, if you don't have internet at your house, you can't be a host. It's impossible.
Okay.
So you,
But if my next door neighbor has this as a host, say, and I don't have internet, now I have internet?
no, well, yeah, yes, you will. Once it gets built out in your area, you'll be able to use the Wi-Fi off the Helium. Yes, for sure. Like you think about places in this world that really need internet, but they don't have the infrastructure for it and stuff. This is going to be a great solution. This is designed to cover every square inch of the globe.
Okay. So
Well, this is like the village I'm in here right now in Italy. That's why I was asking if it was actually available here, because it's internet. I'm surprised I've been able to stay on this call this whole time.
Yep. So you have to go into Italy,
John,
type in your address. Type in your address and you can see the boxes that are in Italy already, and you can kind of get a feel for it.
John Kahn, go ahead. I'll get you next.
Got two questions for you, Ed, real quick. One is, do you have a separate password for each one of the boxes so that if I'm traveling, do I have to log into a different Wi-Fi access point, or is it all carried the same?
It'll be whatever, like when you're a user of the Helium, is that what you're talking about?
Right. It's like my cell phone. If I'm traveling, I'm going from tower to tower. I don't have to change anything. Will
No.
that be the same way with this?
Same thing with this. You'll have a master sign in, like a company has 1,000 cars on the road. They would just log in and they can see their account.
Okay.
Posted
And the
up.
second question I had is more around the affiliate. How does that work and how do you get paid on it?
That's a whole nother conversation. We might have to do that. another
Yeah, well,
time.
we'll leave that for the end, and I'm willing to stay around for anybody that wants to stay around.
Okay.
Bobby,
Yes, as a user, do you become a member? Do you pay for membership?
No,
Because, I mean, you're not gonna use your own box, but some other people's boxes. Do you pay for that?
no. Like if you use the Internet of Things, if you have device, let's say you wanted to track your dog, or put a thing on in your wallet or your purse or on your keys or something, then you would establish an account with Helium and you would pay them for the data services. But for building the network out, there's none of that.
So this is my point. So if you're gonna use the data services, you have to pay for that.
Oh yeah, if you're going to use the data services, yes, you're going to have an account, you're going to pay for it. You're just going to pay a fraction of what you would pay Verizon or AT&T. So here's an example, like Hertz rental car. They have about 500,000 vehicles across the country in their inventory. Right now, they pay about $25 a month per vehicle to have a designated cellular hotspot in the car, and they can track it, where it's going and what it's doing and stuff like that for their inventory control. When this is lit up and they can use this instead, they might pay $1 a month. I don't know what they're going to charge, but they might pay $5 or a lot less than 20. Let's put it that way. And it's just a chip that's going to be required. It's not going to be, big ordeal, a designated unit for one of the from Verizon with its own phone number and all that crap. None of that's needed. Does that make sense?
the chip is designed to read the signal, the low frequency signal that's being broadcast all over the city through each other, through all our hotspots in our houses. And so we pay, a few bucks for the chip and the battery that goes in the car. And then we strike up a deal with the people who are running the network, and we have to pay a little more, but that's kind of how it works, right? Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm asking him, this is what you pay only is when you join this network and you have your box, one of the boxes. Do you pay for the box?
No.
No, you just get it free and you install it in your house or wherever you want to install it. For example, can I install one in California and I don't live there?
Sure. You can, as long as you have a host, as long as you have someone that agrees to plug it in and make sure it stays on. There's strategies with these boxes, with these hotspots. You don't want to put it in the basement. You want to put it up as high as it can go in your house in a window so it can get the signal out as far as possible. Because the further the signal goes out, the more boxes it touches, the more it gets rewarded. So, you know, when you get the box, you don't want to put it in your basement. But by the time we get our boxes, people are going to have plugged in. They know all these things. They'll know it's basically
The
common sense.
overlapping of these boxes, is that how they share the benefit, the money?
That exactly. That's
Oh.
how it's one consistent network. Okay. That like take a big, you know, the parachute game you used to play when you were a kid and the kid went in the middle. Well, it's a huge parachute and
Okay.
it's the helium network and it comes down and anything under that parachute is going to get the coverage on a consistent basis. They're not going to have to log in and log out of different Wi-Fis. It's just going to be, they log into their Helium account and they've got all the data stuff that they want, all the different devices. You know, one of the things to make you understand this better would be to go like Google and just Google what is the IoT, the Internet of Things. And look, you're going to see millions of companies that are already starting to sell stuff for the IoT. And it'll give you a better understanding of some of the types of devices that will be on the IoT. But there's things on that we know that are going to be on there today, but there's things that we can't even imagine in our head yet because they haven't been invented yet.
The bottom line, Bobby, is you order the box for free. Everything's free. You never have to pay a dime. If you order one, you put it in your house, they pay you to have it hooked up. That's it. And then you tell your friend in California and she gets a box too. She's going to be just like you. It's all going to be free. You plug it in, they pay her, but they're going to give you a little override because you referred her. You talked her into getting a box. So they're going to pay you because you're helping build the network. It couldn't be more simple.
If you are part of the network, then you can use any box for free, right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, it has nothing to do with that. There's two different parts. We're helping building the network. The use of the network will come later.
Yeah, the use of the network will cost people. Building it doesn't cost us anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, can I ask a question?
Go ahead,
please,
Seth.
Ed? So Ed, let's say I start talking about it and I'll start making friends now that I need them, and everybody's interested. How do I get these affiliates? Meaning, do I need to list them somewhere, or how does it work?
So we all get a back office in our like when you sign up and you join and you reserve your hotspot, you get a link. Like when you make your account up, you're going to create a link. Maybe it's your first initial last name .ihub.global, right? Once you have that link, that's what you would share with other people. And then when they come in and join and reserve their hotspot, they are registered and you can see them in your back office when you log in.
Right. So
You
in
just
other
need to
words,
protect the people that.
yeah. In other words, Zev, since Joel referred you to this call today, he has a link. You go to his page, it says join and order a hotspot. Now you're forever linked to Joel and Joel's forever linked to you. And you're going to make your percentage and he's going to get a little override. And same thing, you know, when you refer somebody, you're also tied to Joel. And he's also tied to Joel. And, you know, it's the old two
I'll
friends
share this if
scenario.
I can. I'll go into my hotspot right now. Go in here. Oh, I have McAfee nightmare. Hate this. But I'll show you what my back office looks like, right? So I go in here, log in. And then, oops, I'm gonna move this thing out of here. So I can log into my back office. This right here is my affiliate link right here, right? So I could just copy and paste that and then send that off to everybody. Now, if I want to go in and see my team that is developing right now, I can go and log into my further back office and I'll show you what that looks like. Oops. So this is my back office right here. And you can see that, you know, I joined on the 9th. It tells you your join date. And And then it tells you how many personally enrolled people. So far, since June 9th, I've told 75 people about this individually, like me personally told 75 people. But out of those 75 people, it's grown to, 2,800, and it's grown at about 300 to 400 a day now, of people that are coming in. And I could get, 1 or 2 HNT from each of these boxes. You just think about the comp plan. You get a little piece off of every box that goes. The company pays out 80% total. They keep 20% to run the show, right? But 80% of every box's production is paid out to the affiliates that made the network happen. Does that make sense?
So what do you call affiliates?
What's that?
What do you mean by when you say affiliates? Who are the affiliates?
They're people that join and host, that if they get another person to host, they have the ability to get other people to host, and they get a percentage as well of that.
Okay.
When you order your box, you have to become an affiliate, Bobby. So it's
You don't have to.
a two-step process. You sign up as an affiliate, you order your box. So he has, like, Ed did not turn me on to this concept. So a friend of his did. So I'm part of that 2,862 boxes. I helped him get that number up there. He didn't sign me up. Somebody else did.
Okay.
Yeah, I can go in here and I can search through and find out, who did get Kurt, right? So that's always a fun thing to do. But Kurt, you've been growing this thing pretty well. I mean, you're basically saying, hey, I've got a network of a team. If they all pay a fee to be part of a networking group, why don't I show them a way that for free they could make an extra $100, $200 a month just by hosting a box, and that'll more than pay for any kind of it's a smart thing to introduce to the network, right? What are you listed under?
I'm Team Network. Right? Yeah, right there.
So I go in here and I could see, what's happening, what level they fall on and everything. And Kurt, you're not paying any money to do this?
I haven't paid one dime. Of course, I haven't paid anything. You don't make anything till you plug the box in.
Right. So it's funny because up until say 2 to 3 weeks ago, it was, you could go reserve your box. And then when it was about to ship, you were going to get an invoice to your email saying, okay, your box is ready to ship. You have to pay $500. Okay. Because they were going to charge $500 per box. So didn't matter. People got it. They said, I don't care. I don't have to pay for it now. When it comes, I plug it in, I start making money. But then the company said, you know what? We're crazy to charge anybody anything. We'll front the money for the boxes because they'll get paid back over the course of 4 months. And they just won't, they're going to pay out what they pay out for the host, but nobody has to pay anything. That's the beauty of it.
So how do I sign up for a box right now if I'm looking at your website?
I send you a link, Bobby, and you just go, it says join. And once you put your contact information in, there's a little red box that says order my hotspot, reserve my hotspot. And you just put in your name and your home, and it shows up in about 8 to 12 weeks. And then you plug it in. That's as simple as that. And in the meantime, you tell your friend in California, and hopefully they get one. That's kind of how it works.
And who installs it? Anybody can install it?
Yes, you get it and you install it.
Okay.
And you'll be tips. It'll come with little tips saying put it up as high as you can near a window. If your router box isn't right there, you can run it off of Wi-Fi. So as long as the Wi-Fi can get to the box. So, if you have the Wi-Fi router in the basement, you wanted to put this thing in the attic, as long as you get Wi-Fi in the attic, you can just put it up there.
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah.
But I had to hardwire it.
You don't have to hardwire, but hardwiring it is, especially if you travel a lot, is going to be the best thing, because if you go away on a trip and the power goes out, there's a storm and it knocks everything out, and then the router kind of reboots itself and you are hooked in only through Wi-Fi, if for some reason it doesn't recycle and connect back on Wi-Fi, then your box is stuck doing nothing for the 2 weeks you're gone. If it's hardwired in, it's a really good chance that it's automatically going to just boot back up with the router.
I'd pay somebody $100 to come to my house and turn it back on.
Oh, the people that own these boxes, it's like a dog sitter. You could open a new business called the Helium Fixer, because the one guy we know, he owns 140 boxes. Well, you'd be amazed at the stories of the kid. The one guy has got the box, and his kid is having a bunch of friends over to play like video games. And the one kid, because I got to plug mine in, he unplugs the damn hotspot. So my friend Doug looks at his internet, he looks at the map, and he sees the box turns red when it's not online. So he says, what the hell? So he calls his friend, and his friend says, oh, I must have been my kids. I'm sorry. I'm over in Europe for 2 weeks. And he's like, oh, I'm making $100 a day at your house. So, that's the story, owning 140 boxes, it makes great money, but it's a lot of work.
But
In what way it's a lot of work? I didn't get that. I'm sorry. What kind of work that you said? Why is there a lot of work?
Well, if you try to do this on your own and you go out there and buy boxes for yourself, and you find 100 hosts and you own the boxes and you're placing them, then you got to keep track of all those boxes, right? But with this, it's an affiliate plan. Everybody who gets a box, they're responsible for one box, and they're going to treat that box like a brand new infant baby. They're going to clean it every day, and they're going to make sure that there's no crap in the butthole and all that. They're going to make sure that that box is sleeping and doing everything it should be to earn as much revenue as possible.
Thank you very much, Ed.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for coming on and giving us your time today.